So I want to talk about this man that I met. I ran into at the gas station. It was so funny how we met because when we first met, he got out of his car while I was pumping gas and he immediately started telling me, I think I know you somewhere. I know I've seen your face before. I know you somewhere. And of course, I'm sitting there like he just trying to have a pickup line, but I was polite. I said, oh, okay. He was a nice looking guy. So I was polite and I was respectful. I said, okay, well, I'm sure it's a lot of lookalikes and I'm sure we probably have crossed paths. He said, I'm a photographer, so I know I've had a photo shoot with you or something. Or then he thought about it and he said, I know what it was. I think we might be on the same social media channel. I think we might be Facebook friends. So he pulls out his phone and I'm still thinking, oh, God, he just over here trying to run some game, whatever, Okay. He pulls out his phone and we actually were Facebook friends. So how ironic is that we'll run into each other at the same gas pump and we are Facebook friends. And he told me he actually had sent me a message in a DM asking me to do a photo shoot. And he said in that message, he showed me his phone. In that message, it says, I think you're very beautiful. I would love to do a photo shoot. That was back in 2020. So this man remembered my face, even with me fully embracing my gray hair now. He remembered me at the gas pump 5 years later from that DM. And I'm going to hurry up and wrap this thing up because I was disappointed in the outcome. I have to admit, I'm single. So when we got on there, he said, okay, I'm going to stay in touch. I hope you don't mind. I said, sure. So he said, I'm going to send you a message in a DM. So anyway, he sent me a message saying it was nice to see you. He told me that I'm still beautiful in person, which is why he recognized me immediately. I felt that was so nice and very kind for him to say. And I felt good knowing that he felt I was still beautiful, even in person. So later on, he did leave his number. And I also called him later on just to chat, on my way home when I got off work, just to kind of like talk to him and see what's going on. Our conversation just flowed well. It was a really fun conversation. We were just really down and cool with each other. About halfway through the conversation, he goes on to say, I got to tell you, I'm married. Why did you show interest in me and you're married? Then he goes on to say, oh, and I don't plan on leaving my wife. So any woman I start seeing have to promise to not fall in love with me. I made it clear then, I'm not dating any married men. I've done it before. And it was stupid when I was younger, dumb, naive, hoping to be that girl, hoping to get the man. It was dumb. I'll never do it again. So we ended up getting off the phone. And I guess he thought I was just joking. He calls me the next day, that night, and invited me out to eat. He was like, oh, I'm going to one of my favorite restaurants. Maybe you can come meet me, or maybe we can meet somewhere close to where you are, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, what kind of food is that? He went on to tell me, because I'm going to be pleasant. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be fun and polite. And then I said, can I remind you of something that just happened yesterday when I talked to you on the phone originally? I said, remember when I told you that I don't think it'd be a good idea? Because he kept talking about we could just be friends. I don't think you don't just assign friends. Friendship happens over the years. It develops. You don't just meet someone at a gas pump and go, oh, we can just be friends even though I'm married. No. Then you start asking me out to dinner. No, you're trying to have a hookup on the side. That's what you're trying to have. I reminded him, I said, remember I told you, if we go to eat and I start doing all this stuff, that's a recipe for disaster. It's just a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for cheating, lusting, committing adultery. And so I had to cut it off. He said, so it's a real no-no. I said, yeah, it's a no-no. I said, maybe you can meet somebody else that's willing to do it, but I ain't that girl. I really believe God was testing me, but I got to ask this question. Why do so many people stay in marriages that they're no longer happy in? And then think that they're going to find somebody on the side to supplement what they're not getting in this said marriage. It ain't my responsibility to be your seat filler. I'm not settling for less ever again when it comes to choosing a mate. The man that I want is going to be a man that wants me back, and he's going to be fully available for me, and I'm going to be fully available for him. #SettleFree. I would love your thoughts. Could you tell me why a lot of people stay in unhealthy relationships?